if you are here, then you are listening to Pitch Practice. This is something that was started back in August on Clubhouse, and it was started to bring in founders and allow them literally just to practice their pitch. And it's turned into this huge thing. So now we are no longer only on Clubhouse, we're taking our talents to South by Southwest. And so what you're listening and watching now is Pitch Practice South by Southwest edition for companies that are in the food and beverage, CPG, and sustainability space. We have 7 founders that will be presenting today. They'll present 2 to 3 minutes. The judges here, which we will introduce in a second, will give their feedback, and then we'll allow the founders to respond to what they've received. This is how we do on Clubhouse. I wanted the experience to be authentic for those that are listening and watching right now. And so we jump right in before we even do intros to get the people going. So we're gonna jump right into our first pitch, Samotria, and I will let her jump in. She has 2 to 3 minutes. We will give her feedback, and then we'll come back and do some introductions of the folks that are on stage giving the founders feedback. So Samotria, I'm gonna let you jump right in, 2 to 3 minutes. We'll give you your feedback afterwards. Go ahead.
Thank you, Shondra. Thank you, everyone. Hello, everybody. My name is Samotria Holmes, and I'm the founder and CEO of Pearl's Recipe, where we craft safe, elevated meals for pets. Let's take a quick trip back to 1941, when kibble was actually introduced as a result of the growing need for metal to support the war efforts. Food companies, pet food companies looked to cereal manufacturers to create a dry, shelf-stable meal for pets using their byproducts. Flash forward to now, and more than $8 billion is spent annually on dry kibble inside of the $37 billion annual pet food industry as a whole. Pet food parents have sort of wisened up to the quality of the ingredients that are going into kibble, and now more than 50% of them say that they would prefer to share fresh meals with their pet, which we think is great. Seemingly better is that there now feel like more options than ever when it comes to finding a fresh cooked meal for your pet. But when we did some investigations, we found out it's mostly smoke and mirrors. In the realm of fresh pet food today, finding a recipe that only includes pet-safe ingredients is actually very, very difficult. Choose your favorite brand, whether you're buying it in store or it's being delivered to your door. You'll find that those recipes include byproducts and meals, chemical nutrients, grains, potatoes, and lentils. Now, I think we can all agree that byproducts, meals, and chemical nutrients are bad news bears for our pets, but most pet parents wouldn't think twice about sharing rice, sweet potatoes, or peas with their pets. Grains like rice are great for people. Potatoes, chickpeas, lentils are awesome for us, but they present a lot of dangers, health dangers for our pets. Dogs and cats lack the enzymes in their saliva to break down carbs, so all those particles end up on their teeth and create dental diseases. In large dog breeds that have a known pre-existing condition for heart disease, potatoes and lentils exacerbate that issue. And now more breeds with no pre-existing links to heart disease are showing up at the vet's office with dilated cardiomyopathy. I think that we can all understand why it's time for us to change the dial a little bit on what we actually categorize as fresh food. Finding that fresh, safe, elevated food for your pet should not be that difficult. And Pearl's Recipe is here to help. We use 10 simple, pet-safe, whole ingredients to craft fresh meals for your pet. Our fresh veggies, fruits, and proteins are sourced locally from family farms who appreciate the value of caring about the food that you bring to the table. Today, pet food manufacturers are exploiting the lack of regulation and making food for our pets that puts their health at risk with every bite. At Pearl's Recipe, we're committed to rewriting the rule book on what qualifies as food in this category and bringing dignity to meals for our pets. Our team is seeking a $250,000 equity investment to help us reach our goal of sharing 1,000 monthly meal subscriptions with pet families, as well as providing 5,000 individual meals purchased at retail per month in our first year. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing your feedback and answering your questions.
All right. Thank you so much for being the first one on Pitch Practice, South by Southwest edition. Loved everything that you are doing. We just, like I said, we're jumping right in. So who wants to go first to give, oh, Max. Okay, hand raising. I love this. Go ahead.
I'm a rescue dog mom and you like freaked me out.
I'm so sorry, but it's so true.
So as a very proud dog mom, first of all, I thought your pitch was excellent. Like we are kicking off pitch practice in such a strong way. So thank you for making history in Women's History Month, and bringing your A game, and everyone else should start practicing off camera. I thought your use of a story in the beginning was excellent. I really literally went to 1941 with you. I thought you really created a story and time and gave me some history of, like, I also have always wondered about kibble. But then you got into the fresh food part, and one of the issues when you have a crowded space is not addressing that crowded space. It either comes off as you don't know it exists, or you don't understand how you're competitive. So again, as a dog mom, I started on Farmer's Dog. I've moved to Ollie. Like, I'm trying out a lot of those. And you also scared the heck out of me, because now I'm like, now I need to go look at those ingredients if those aren't.
They all include ingredients that aren't really good for pets. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to happen right after this. But I think also, so one, it was the competitive landscape. And then second, we didn't really hear the business model. So when you say locally sourced, I think higher price point, right? When you say we're taking care to not put in ingredients, there's probably a reason those ingredients are there, because they're cheaper, right? So addressing price point and how you're going to compete on price is also important. And then I loved at the end that you were like, bold, let's go, 250K for future growth. But I didn't hear today's growth. So make sure to address where we are today. And again, if you're really early, that's okay. What are some traction points that you can share, or some metrics that you have, or a customer survey, or you went to a market and sampled it, and people came back and were asking for more, or you sold out. So even those little tests can be really helpful. And then it helps us understand how you're going to get to 1,000 subscriptions and 5,000 sold in retail. So
awesome.
Excellent job.
Thank you, Max. I appreciate that.
Max, thank you for being the first one to give feedback. All right, so who is next? Who has feedback for Samotria? Okay, go ahead, Josh.
Hey, great job. Your passion was so clear here. And that, when you're talking about an emotionally resonant product, about something that deals with these loved ones, these little furry loved ones, showing that passion that you're one of those, say, like customers right alongside your customers is so important. I think the one thing that we would have loved to hear more about is the distribution strategy. Any product's only as good as the way you get it to your customers. And so are you striking relationships with big grocery stores? Are you going more the like boutique grocery route? Is it more direct to consumer? Do you have like influencer marketing, and are you going all social media? I think talking a little bit about how exactly people can find you and how that's going to be a scalable and cost-efficient process for you guys will really make people see like, oh, I know this isn't just the best product. I know it's going to be the best way to get it into their customers' hands.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, who else has feedback? Go ahead. I knew Nick was coming in. I knew it. Go ahead.
Yeah, again, echoing very similar elements. I think your storytelling is really great. I think you have a good understanding of the product and market. I think it's now just being able to dive deeper into the market, the strategy, and the data. I think kind of what Max and Josh kind of touched base on is similar my points. We're missing understanding who you are and your team. I think that's really important as well. Where are you? What your size is? Similarly, we're missing traction. Like, I don't know what stage you are as a business at the moment. So it's hard for me to evaluate. Are you just getting the recipes? Do you have 50 customers? That's really important so that we could acknowledge where our feedback should be pointed. But we're a little bit blind right now at the moment. Your competitive landscape, Max is absolutely right. When you do have venture-backed competitors in this space that are already at billion-dollar valuations, any venture capitalist is going to understand, and you need to address their names directly. And you kind of said it in the Q&A, like, hey, Ollie's missing this. They all run into these issues. And I think that's really important, because your unique insight then comes down to the quality. I think good old Harold. But I think really on that front, you want to really address that directly, and I think you'll get a lot more value. Similarly, as you kind of think through distribution and growth, that's going to be important. Josh is absolutely on point. But the business model clarity, you said subscription, but again, you need to expand on that so we have a good understanding. Overall, though, you have something really meaningful. I would actually dive in a little bit deeper to talk about why the health and quality of your product is more superior to the story of, like, saving pets' lives or extending their lives, or some element of how it's actually improving their quality. Because if you have that, A, I think you're going to appeal to the consumer, but B, you're going to actually talk about a quantifiable differentiation where it's not just the ingredients, but the impact. And I know that's a little bit hard to get that data, but if you can find that, I think it will really give you that extra element on top. But overall, really great start. I'm really excited to learn more.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all of the feedback. I was scared to actually mention anyone's business name. This was my first pitch ever. So I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to sue me? I don't want to lose my house.
Demetria, you're not going to lose your house, but I do want to give you 30 seconds to respond to one thing that stood out to you. If there is something, if not, I want to thank you for coming on stage, and we'll move on. But go ahead.
Thank you. Well, pet food safety and ingredient safety is my kink, right? So I'll respond to the competitive landscape. So Farmer's Dog, Nom Nom, My Ollie, Just Food for Dogs, Pet Plate, all of them are including chemical nutrients or peas, potatoes, lentils, chickpeas, and sweet potatoes in their recipes. So they really are not good for your dog. The best part about them is that they're fresh made, but they still haven't sort of taken consideration to the health effects that come along with including those ingredients. And the FDA studies, I guess, are just kind of in a back folder somewhere. So I really appreciate the feedback about getting more into the business model. I was very concerned with storytelling, so I'm glad that part came off well, but definitely will make sure to even out my pitch so that you get some story, you get some business, you get some competitive, you get some why, and you learn a little bit more about myself and my team. There is no team yet, it's just me. As I told Shondra, I just got the URL and submitted our trademark about a week ago. So we're very, very early stages, but lots of energy and excitement about bringing this to market.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Demetria. Okay, so now that we've jumped in, we've had our first pitch, we've shaken off the willies. Let's do some intros for the folks that are on stage, the judges. So Chris, and we always try to keep this to 30 seconds. Let's try and keep it to 30 seconds. Chris, we'll go Chris, Nick. We'll just go around the room. I'll call you out. Chris, go ahead, 30 seconds.
We'll keep it short. I'm Chris Moreno. Started in the corporate world and left for the startup world. Lived in San Francisco and California my whole life. Scaled 3 startups in the consumer, B2B, and real estate tech space, and then had 2 exits. Actually ended up got married, had 2 kids, and moved out to the East Coast. And now we're investing and backing underestimated founders. And really love helping early stage founders with the feedback. I wish someone could have helped me years ago, and I wish I could get this kind of help. So it's really exciting to watch people share their stories and improve. Back to you.
Thanks. Nick, 30 seconds.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Bardwaj. I'm the managing partner at Tribe Group, where we invest, advise, and create startups. In my past lives, I've done a lot of fun things, specifically building a lot of large mobile games, ad tech, and also working as a high school teacher. More recently, I've been really excited to kind of support underrepresented founders and really help them scale from that 0 to 1 at pre-seed and seed stage startups. In regard to the wonderful world of food, I also run a kitchen incubator called Village, where we have an 8,000 square foot kitchen and supporting different D2C brands and virtual restaurant brands. So super excited to learn more.
All right, thanks, Nick. Marie, go ahead.
Hi, Marie Roca. I'm the founder of a venture fund, Realist Ventures. We back biotech and SaaS companies. Prior to that, I was a software developer who decided to start my own software company, building platforms for small businesses and nonprofits. I've done a lot from real estate to e-commerce when it wasn't cool, to sustainability and all of that. And I'm super happy to be here to support this.
All right, Max. So I'm actually going to break this up like we typically do. So Max, go ahead, and then we'll go to Jamaica to present next.
Awesome. All right, hey everyone, I'm Max, the CEO and co-founder of Caribou. I'm the winner or finalist in over 30 pitch competitions. So now I use everything I've learned to try and help underestimated founders. And I'm the first Latinx CEO, male or female, to raise the $1 million maximum in equity crowdfunding. So for anyone who's listening, who wants to learn more about equity crowdfunding, come find me because I love talking about it. And the minimum is being raised to $5 million in just a couple of days. So it's a real game changer for founders, especially women founders and people of color founders.
All right. Thanks, Max, for being here. Jamaica, are you ready?
I am. I'm ready.
All right. So Jamaica is here from Hello Bulk Markets. You saw Samotria kill it. And so
I know. Can I go after somebody else?
No pressure.
Right. We're super excited to have you. 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll give you feedback, and then you'll be able to respond to one piece of feedback. You can jump in.
Awesome. All right. Well, most of you are probably familiar with National Geographic's Planet or Plastic. It was a groundbreaking issue that brought so much awareness to the plastic pollution that is strangling our planet. And staggering statistics, like 90% of our plastics are not currently being recycled, and 40% of those are items we only used once. Well, this sort of problem around waste is changing every industry, and grocery is no exception, with companies like Kroger, ironically, Whole Foods, Starbucks, Nestle, and a number of others all pledging to cut back on packaging over time. But people are just dissatisfied. They're dissatisfied with both the pace and the solutions. And in response, you're seeing something popping up called the zero waste or package-free store. These are based on sort of a tear-filled pay system. I call it the new old-fashioned way to shop. So customers bring their containers from home and they fill up with everything from grocery to body care and household cleaners. They weigh those containers upon entering. They weigh them at checkout. So you only pay for what you put into your container. They cut back on a number of things. Waste, food waste, because you get to purchase what you want and what you need. And also they cut back on plastic waste because you bypass that need to purchase single-use plastic. It really addresses that 40%, which is really about getting stuff from point A to point B, which is ridiculous. Now, it may have taken me a lot longer than I wanted, but I opened in 2018 Utah's first package-free grocery store here in Salt Lake City. It's called Hello Bulk Markets. We opened at first in the back of a quirky West Side warehouse, just in a low overhead model to test our model, get our feet under us. But there we grew in revenue month over month. We launched a successful Kickstarter, and most importantly, grew our tribe. We've since moved to a retail location where we've had tremendous growth. In the first 7 months in that retail location, we doubled the amount of pounds sold, which is how I like to measure my impact, compared to the 7 months that we existed in the warehouse model. So we are currently uniquely poised here in Salt Lake City as the first package-free store. I'm sure that won't be forever. But even nationally, we are just a handful of package-free stores that offer the kind of grocery selection that we offer here at Hello Bulk. And while these stores are popping up all over the US in numbers like we have never seen before, I believe that Hello Bulk is really uniquely poised to franchise due to my extensive grocery experience over 15 years now in natural grocery, and our committed team that we've built over the course of the past 3 years. What do we need to do this? Well, not a lot, not at this stage. I'm asking for $90,000 for growth so that I can hire and build a bench, purchase inventory, build out a second and third location, and really get in there and dig into community and marketing and education. I am Jamaica Trineman. That is my real name. I'm the founder of Hello Bulk Markets here in Salt Lake City, and I believe that we can shop in a better way.
Jamaica, so good. You did amazing. Okay, so now we will give you feedback. I'm going to ask the judges to keep it to, I want to say 1 point, but I know you guys have tons. So I'm going to give you 2 points each for those that do have feedback for Jamaica. So who wants to go first? Oh, Marie has her hand up. I love this. Okay, go ahead.
Hi. Thank you. That's this is something I'm super passionate about. I'm one of like the only people who truly love even getting misfits, even though they're not always like great products to some people. But to me, I do want to try to be mindful of my impact. I will say that I felt like the storytelling was a little bit wonky. Like, so, I like to tell founders to just kind of stick with like intro, problem, solution, kind of like, keep it concise, because then you want to kind of like hit everyone with the right points without like adding too much ad lib. So that would be my one feedback, and I guess I probably talked too much already, so I'll let someone else go because I can see Shondra's face. But great job, and I really love that you're tackling something that's that I care about like this.
So as a reminder, you guys, we typically have pitch practice on Clubhouse and nobody can see my face during this whole thing. And so Marie's like, now I can't break the rules because I know exactly what Shondra's thinking. I love this. Okay, Max, go ahead, and then we'll go to Ben.
So my 2 points. One, I thought you had probably the strongest story in a pitch that I've heard for why you need funding. Usually in a pitch, I hear, I want to build this. Can you fund it? And you were like, I tried it. It kept growing, and then we outgrew, and then we doubled, and then we did more. And it's like that for an investor is super exciting. So keep that story in your pitch. And the second thing is you talked about franchising, but that got me worried, because then you said, I'm going to use the money for these specific things. Franchising is all process. It's like repeatable, scalable process. And I didn't hear any of the money going towards that. So I would just make sure to either tailor the use of funds or not even mention franchising.
Good feedback.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Ben, I believe, is next, and then we're going to go Chris, and then we're going to go Nick.
I'll go very short. So great job on telling passion through your story. The thing that did strike me, so that's a positive. The thing that struck me where like I think there can be improvement is around specificity around your numbers. So we said things like our revenue kept growing month for month, but then the natural question is how much did revenue grow? What was the revenue? It can make it sometimes founders will say that to hide the fact that it didn't grow very much. But if you need to say what those numbers are, the more specific the numbers, the stronger the story, the more specific the numbers, the stronger the traction. I remember the doubling piece, the the impact in pounds and all that. That was a number that I remembered, but metrics that especially go around the business itself are always going to be strongest. So just always remember when you're saying something grew, a number must be attached to it.
Okay.
Chris, and then Nick.
Great. And I'll, very similar to Ben and Marie, I'm going to take a different approach. I agree with what they had to say is keeping it, your story flowing. So it's easy for the person on the other side to understand it. I think you were confident in what you were talking about, and I believe in your mission and what you're doing. And I think it's the future. I think the challenge is if your metric is pounds, just understand that the person on the other end, if they're open to that, that's great. But if they're not, be prepared for the question of, well, what's your ARR? As Ben said, you might be might come off like you're hiding something, or if you're not using specifics. The key thing that was really stood out, we actually 11 years ago, our first business went through the process of becoming a franchise. So I would love to hear, and I think it's really important in your pitch to say why you're choosing not to do it yourself, why you're not licensing, and why you're choosing the third option of franchising, and telling that story, because it's very expensive to be franchising. It can be successful, but it's really hard to manage that brand. So that's something I'd want to hear in the pitch, and then obviously go deeper in the future.
All right, Nick, jump in.
Awesome. So just real quick advice, because there's actually one really big advantage you have in your pitch. You actually have real data. You have 14 months of data, it looks like, of some real revenue. So what I would tell you to do is dive a lot deeper into it. So it's great to get the pound metric, as that might be your measurement. But as Chris noted and a few others, MRR, ARR are really important. But what I'd actually love to hear is like the user data. Like, hey, on average, our customers are coming in 3 times every 90 days, right? Or a higher frequency, right? And there's a way to that. What I would try to do is if you're owning that retail store, is trying to own that customer data way better than any location, because I think you'll be able to tap into something really exciting, whether it be deeper loyalty from core customers or more importantly, something with larger scale. So recognize that you have that data advantage. So I hope you leverage it in some manner.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Nick. So Jamaica, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond to. Pick one thing. I know you have more that you want to respond to, but pick one thing that you want to respond to, and we'll move on.
It's all good. And this is just, you're trying to figure out how to tell a story in 3 minutes and have backup data in the wings. I have my revenue numbers right here in case anyone asked. But mostly I wanted to say thank you. It was all valid and I like it. I want to address the questions before you all have to ask them. So thank you for that information. And Marie, thank you so much for using the word wonky, because I'm happy. I'm going home happy. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamaica, for coming to Pitch Practice and for allowing us to, or sharing your business with us and then allowing us to give you feedback. Okay, so we're going to pick up on the intros, but this thing moved around. So I don't know who introed or who did it. Ben, I know you weren't here, so you can jump in, and then Josh and Saba and Harold.
Wow, that memory. Hello, everybody. I'm Ben. I am president and co-founder of Octane AI. We are a venture-backed SaaS company that powers the conversational marketing and personalization in particular for thousands of e-commerce brands, especially brands in Shopify ecosystem. We are basically the personalization OS for these brands, helping them have better relationships with their customers. And we've raised money from General Catalyst, Bullpen, and lots of top tier angels in Silicon Valley. In a previous life, I was the co-editor and editor-at-large of Mashable, the technology news website, where I wrote over 2,400 articles in my 4 years there. And I've sat on a bunch of boards, like the advisory board of Lufthansa, the board of directors of Somasource, the global AI data training company, and I wrote a book for HarperCollins called Captivology on the science of capturing people's attention.
Ben is busy, y'all. Okay, basically that's what he's saying. I am busy. Okay, Josh, go ahead.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Constantine. I was formerly the editor-at-large for TechCrunch for 8 years while I was and wrote about early stage companies, writing the first ever coverage of Robinhood, HQ Trivia, and Clubhouse. I was the #1 most cited tech journalist from 2016 to 2020. And now I'm at Signalfire, an early stage venture fund where we invest in things like the e-commerce infrastructure, creator economy, social apps, and telehealth, where we have about $1 billion under management, and our superpowers in helping companies with recruiting, making sure they can fill out their team via our Beacon technology. And so really just excited to see everybody's pitches. I also host the show Press Club on Clubhouse, so excited to get to hear you and see you all there.
Thanks so much, Josh. All right, Saba, do you want to give us your 30 seconds?
Hey, everyone. Great to be here. I'm Saba Krim. I'm the Global Startup Pipeline Manager at Techstars, sourcing startups across the world for all of our accelerators. I'm based in Boulder, and so is Techstars, and we invest globally from LA to New York City, from Iowa to India, and everywhere in between in every single vertical. I read, receive, and listen to about hundreds of pitches per week. Clearly, I love pitches, which is why I love Pitch Practice, and I love Pitch Practice South by Southwest edition. Prior to Techstars, I was on the founding team of Evolve, which was the world's first dating CRM, which went on to be acquired by HubSpot.
Okay, so our next person we have, founder, is Ben James of Stone's Throw Hash. Ben, let us see your beautiful face. All right, happy to see you. So you have 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will give you your feedback, and you'll be able to respond, and you can start now.
Thanks so much. Hey, everybody. My name is Ben James, and I'm the founder and CEO of Stone's Throw Hash. Stone's Throw Hash is a combination of my 2 passions. First is hash, and not that kind of hash. I'm talking about the breakfast type of hash. It comes from the French word hacher, meaning to chop. And it's a combination of chopped and diced veggies, meats, produce. And it's typically something that's more of a breakfast comfort food. What I did was I breathed new life into it with really unique and clean ingredients like sweet potatoes, butternut squash, cremini mushrooms, unique flavor profiles, and really great health benefits, like it's gluten-free, paleo-friendly, high in protein, and high in fiber, low in calories. It's a lot of things consumers are looking for. And it all started from a pain point I found a few years ago when I was in grad school. and working full time. I found that there really just wasn't a lot of healthy, flavorful breakfast options in a convenient format that you could make in 4 to 6 minutes or so. Within grocery stores, at coffee shops, it just was not something that was readily available. So I started making these hashes myself, pre-portioned them out, would freeze them, and then prep them on my way out the door in the morning. It was something I gave to friends and family, but was more of like a pet project and something I enjoyed doing. And then I progressed through my career in CPG marketing. I was a brand manager at Nestle Purina, sorry, Sumatra. I did that and then moved over to Ocean Spray Cranberries. And it was there that I really found my other passion, the other key point of this business, and that's around sustainable farming. I took some courses at Tufts University, and there was one statistic that really stuck out to me, and that's that only about 1% of food consumed in the US is locally or regionally sourced. This is something that's really resonated and hit home with me as somebody who grew up in rural Virginia. My neighbor worked 3 different farms, small farms himself, and I wanted to see if there's a way I could be a catalyst for that change. And I realized that hash is actually a perfect pairing with local and regional food systems. You've got your root vegetables, meats, eggs, all things that can be sourced throughout the US. So in mid-2019, I jumped in and started Stone's Throw Hash. And like the name suggests, we focus on sourcing ingredients from farms only a stone's throw away. And we actually take it a step further by giving 1% back to local farming initiatives. So like I said, we're now in 40 plus grocery stores. We sold over 15,000 hashes, and we just got accepted in a Giant for their e-commerce program, as well as we're in Whole Foods final review. It's turning really well. We're turning over a case a week, which is double the average you see in the frozen section. And we're seeking 500,000 in seed round. We've got 75K committed currently, and this will help fund things like operational efficiencies, grow our staff, and increase marketing and trade spend that we need at those big retailers. So I'd love for you guys to join the local food revolution. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Ben. All right. So judges, raise your hand. Saba in there first. Love it. Go ahead.
Awesome. Hey, James. Sorry. Hey, Ben. So I found that a little bit difficult to follow along. I think that, the order in which you do the pitch is really important. And I think you had a lot of good traction. And I would have almost started there and maybe even started like, hey, we do sustainable farming. We've seen so much traction, and get us excited from the start, and then reverse backwards and go, okay, here's how we came up with the idea, and then go towards the ask. So I think I was like, what does they do? I really like this, the joke at the start. Keep that in there, no problems. It makes us laugh, makes us appreciate you. But the order of everything else after that was kind of like, went back and forth a little bit. So work on that one. But the ask is clear. I can see the traction that validates it. So, it's not a bad ask at all. So good job overall with the content, just wrong order, in my opinion.
Thanks so much for that, Saba. Ben, go ahead.
I'm just going to emphasize on that one. This is for everyone who's listening too. The order in which your story is told dramatically changes the funding you get, the perception of that story. You have to really think about that pitch deck and that pitch that you give, like writing a short story, a play, whatever storytelling medium it is. You got to really just talk out the story over and over again and make sure each piece really fits together. And I think this is like Ben, fellow Ben, what you're hearing there, which is, the pieces were there, but because they weren't in the right order, they had nowhere near the same impact that they could possibly have. And that order really does affect things. And it's crazy how much it does. This is something that starts much more advanced, at many more stages above, do nothing but try to figure out the right order, because that is something that dramatically changes the story. So story.
All right. Thank you for that, Ben. I think it was Chris next, and then we'll go Nick.
Great. Ben, that was cool. I really like the story behind what you are and why your name, that puts it in perfect perspective. Also your history, that's really important in this space, that you're not just found a product, but you actually care about what you're building because you know the space so well. But what I wanted to hear, I heard a lot of features, and I really didn't hear the benefits for the people who buy your product. It sounds like you got some great community that really loves you, but I didn't hear how you built that community and why they love you over other types of bowls or other competitors in the marketplace. So that's what I'd love to hear in the future.
Thanks for that, Chris. Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, my quick 2 points of feedback. Again, Chris hits it exactly on the head. I would have loved to know what the actual customer persona was of who you've tapped into. What does that user look like, and what is that community you're building? Because that then helps me get an understanding potentially from an investor mindset of like what that total addressable market's going to potentially look like as well. So you really just want to help triangulate that so we understand where you're already driving a lot of that traffic. The second thing that I really wanted to get a better understanding for was, when you have an ask of 500K, that's a traditional seed round. It's a decent chunk of change. So behind that, I really want to understand like what is the growth strategy moving forward. So again, when you are in grocery, it looks like you have a lot of the right metrics. Selling a case over way faster than all of your competitors is great. But I would love to understand, what does that look like? Do you have a regional play? Are you trying to go to X, Y, and Z regions? How does that look like over a 12 or 18-month window? Give me a little bit of what that execution moving forward is, because I think you have a really good vision of what you are today, but I didn't understand what you might look like in 12 or 18 months. So finalize and crystallize that language, and you'll get me even more excited, because that's really an investor at this stage is looking for, is like, if I put money in now, what does that return potentially look like in that 12 to 18 month horizon? And I think you have the ingredients. It just really wasn't tied in on what that full vision could be looking forward. So if you add that in, I think you'll go a lot further.
I'll just add, really simple. You have a great story. You're solving an issue. I think the first time I heard it, I was like, hash? Packageable? Okay. But like hearing it sounds amazing. It's just really like, again, stick with something that works. You have a problem, you have a solution. What's the market opportunity? And just kind of keep the story tight that way. It's easy for an investor to understand what you're working on, but really great. I love what I'm more impressed now than I was when Shondra sent me the list, because I just couldn't wrap my head around like hash processed food or something like that. So
you thought it was the other hash. Is that what you?
Not well. A whole other pitch practice.
All right, Josh, go ahead.
So I think a lot of the comments here have been around the narrative of a pitch, and figuring out the order in which you're going to pitch something is so important. If you have a really personal story, maybe you start with that. If you have incredible traction metrics, maybe you start with that. But if not, a great default for how to start is these 10 elements. You go from problem, what's wrong with the world; solution, how you're solving it, what your product is; the business model, how you earn money from it; the origin story, like what was that moment where you had that eureka experience and you came up with the idea; the team and why they have the expertise to succeed here; the customer acquisition strategy and how you're going to be able to get this out to the world; the traction, how well you're doing so far; competition and how you're differentiated from them; the big vision of adjacent markets you can move into to make this a really big business; and then the fundraise, what you're actually asking for. If you're not sure what to do, just sticking with those, if you hit each of those points, you're going to get great coverage. And as long as you bring enough passion alongside it, like you did, I think you're going to be in a great place. So congrats on this awesome pitch. But yeah, I think the more that you can refine the order of that narrative, the more comprehensible it will be. People will be able to stick with the vision and really get that idea in their head.
All right, thank you for that so much, Josh. Ben, pick one thing and then you can respond to that, and then we'll move to the next person.
Yeah, thanks so much for everybody's feedback. I really appreciate it. I think what I'm hearing, the consensus, and I could definitely see this is, hone in the story a little bit, make that a little more concise and easier to follow. And then I'd be able to hit on a lot of those metrics you guys are talking about, those things showing traction, customer acquisition, all those things, and get more of that into the pitch. So I really appreciate everybody's feedback. I'm not going to take any more time. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks, Ben, for joining us here on Pitch Practice, South by Southwest edition, Future of Food. Okay, Joanna, are you there? I don't see you on my screen though, so you have to be here. I know you're here. There you are. Joanna, you're next. Joanna is from The Loaf. Joanna, are you there? Oh, there we go. All right. She's here. Okay, so Joanna, you know how this goes. 2 to 3 minutes, we'll give you your feedback, and then you'll have an opportunity to pick one thing to respond to. So you can jump in right now.
Great, thanks so much. Like Shondra said, my name is Johanna Dastile. I'm founder of The Loaf. It's the first organic and paleo bread company in the United States. We serve markets of paleo, keto, grain-free, and gluten-free. But in addition to that, and most importantly to me, actually for personal reasons, and also for reasons that this is a very underserved market, are those who suffer from autoimmune disease like MS, Lyme's, Hashimoto's. This is a huge market. Over 70 million people in the United States alone suffer from autoimmune disease. And more of them are turning from steroids and other pharmaceuticals toward nutrition to treat their illnesses. And one of the predominant diets they're turning to is the paleo or grain-free diet. So in addition to that, they're also going organic. There are no other organic paleo breads on the market. Ours is the only one. So we have two different kinds of products. We have breads and cookies, but we aspire to grow into other products. We want to be a trusted brand for people who are food label readers, like I am. So our traction is that we're in Whole Foods of the Rocky Mountain region, and we have direct-to-consumer sales through our Shopify store. Our revenue has doubled year over year, 2019 to 2020. And what we're doing is we're looking to scale production to go into more Whole Foods regions, be able to invest in marketing online so that those who need our products and are looking for it can actually find it. So what I'm asking is for $1 million to scale production, to market, to grow our team, and be in front of those who are looking for us. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to all of your feedback and questions.
Thank you so much, Johanna. Okay, what judge wants to go first? Let me see your hands. Anyone? You can also come off mute. Okay, Marie, go ahead.
Great job. Again, same thing, just really keeping your storytelling smooth. I won't use wonky again because I have a 12-year-old, so I use his language quite a bit. But yeah, just like really being concise, because I host a pitch event and you have 3 minutes to deliver. And my feedback to all founders is whether it's a 30-second pitch, a 1-minute pitch, or 5-minute pitch, just keep it simple. To Josh's point earlier, have your problem, a quick intro about you, why you're the ones to solve it, a solution, traction, etc. So this way it flows a lot better. In general, that's just my only feedback. That's like my favorite feedback, but great job. I really, great job.
All right, Nick, jump in.
Yeah, I think this is an exciting category. I would say kind of the two pieces of feedback would kind of echo similarly to the last speaker. When you have a large ask of $1 million, like we really need to understand like traction and metrics and where the capital is going to be utilized. And don't get me wrong, you probably have those answers, but it's really important that you preempt that and answer that in your own pitch. So when I'm hearing $1 million, like I'm really expecting really large traction, right? I'm really expecting large growth potential where you've already identified X, Y, and Z growth channels and growth partners that you're just literally one click away from actually unlocking that. And that might be the case, but again, the story is now missing because you didn't share those details with me. So don't leave us hanging. Make sure you complete the loop, bring your metrics in. And if you're thinking about what metrics, you really want to think about monthly recurring revenue. How are you growing on a month-over-month rate? You might want to look at other revenues other metrics like what's the revenue per store, per unit, per location, and how many more locations you have access to. So it gives us an ability to interpolate and extrapolate to what that growth potential would be. The second thing I'll just kind of recommend is that I'd be very wary of using the terminology of being the only one in any type of market. So like transparently, I've had lots of different paleo breads. They might be different or they might be missing something on this front, but again, you probably don't get any advantages of saying you're the only one. You might want to say something or shift the language, something like, we're the leaders because of X, Y, and Z in our ingredients, right? So if you are going to clarify you're the only one, just make sure that you really are, because, Costco now has some type of paleo bread in store. And again, Julian's Bakery, if you check online and just Google search paleo bread, has a lot of search results too. So just make sure you complete that loop, because I think it detracts, because you don't need to be the only one to be great. You just need to be the best one. So just recognize that you might not need that language for you.
All right, we're gonna go Saba and then Max, and then we're gonna move on. So
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, Saba.
Perfect. So I actually heard that this is the first one, not the best or the only one. So that's what I heard. But what I think is on point here to talk about is I think it was the delivery. You need to let things sink in. We are the first ones to have introduced this, right? The whole pitch to me felt nonchalant. 7 million people have MS, autoimmune is common. It just was like, cool, all these things, we have traction, we're just raising $1 million. Like, I think you need to slow it down and really focus in and say something like, it sucks. I have celiac disease. It sucks to have celiac. We want to help make it better, a better world for them, right? So I think all the content was there. You're just super chill about it. Maybe you've done it 1 million times. Pitching is hard. You're gonna have to do it 1 million times, but you have to show energy and tell that story passionately. And so I think that Nick misheard it because I saw you confirming. Nick heard you say best, but really you said first, but you didn't give her a chance to go, this is huge thing. I'm gonna add some drama to it by doing pauses. Thank you.
All right, Joanna, I've been thinking about you a lot because I remember you from pitch practice because I'm keto and I gave the same feedback in the pitch practice about and I think about you because I say the same thing when I pitch Caribou. I'm like, we're the only one doing this thing. But if an investor were to go online and search who else is doing what we're doing, they wouldn't find anything. And so since I was online on Zoom, I went and searched, and you, first of all, great SEO because you came up first. But you do say you are the only organic and paleo bread company. So I was like, okay, let me keep looking. And then it said, I looked at Whole Foods, which you're in, and there's a question, does Whole Foods have paleo bread? Coconut paleo bread by Julian Bakery, which is actually one of the brands I eat. Then I found reasons why Food for Life doesn't offer paleo bread. And they said grains aren't allowed in the paleo diet, and that's why we don't have the bread. So I think what we're all trying to say is, one, be really careful with those qualifiers of best, first, only. Two, only use them if an investor is not going to go down a rabbit hole and like find reasons. Because that's, again, and I said this before, like that's what an investor, like when you say it's kind of like when you walk into a restaurant and it's like best burger in the world and you're like, like you kind of almost, it's like, it's a beginning of a challenge. And maybe I'm from Miami and I think everything's a challenge. I don't know. But like, for me, I'm like, oh, okay, prove it. So anyways, I think you're hearing all the same things, but I just wanted to bring it back up.
Thanks so much for that, Max. Okay, so Johanna, pick one thing to respond to. What do you have to say to the judges?
Well, thanks so much for your feedback and enthusiasm. I definitely appreciate the need for enthusiasm. That's a common feedback for me. I tend to try to keep my nerves down by just being way too down. So I appreciate that. I have taken your advice to heart, and I have stopped saying only. We are the only one, but I've just started saying first. So I appreciate all of that, and I'll get my energy up without getting my nerves up next time as much as possible. But thanks for all you do, and I really appreciate this opportunity to practice pitching again.
Well, we are happy to have you, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Paige Lopez, you are next. Paige is from Throwaway. Paige, you have 2 to 3 minutes, and we will give you your feedback, and then you'll be able to respond. You can jump in.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Paige Lopez, the COO and co-founder of Team Throwaway. We are a smart cart device designed to measure, manage, and improve food waste at the grocery store level. Every year, $4.4 billion of food goes to waste. And for our team, and I think probably the rest of the world, that's just too much. Our mission is to get food to people instead of landfills. So along with Becky and Rosalind, Throwaway is founded by a team of women scientists who have recently graduated from the University of Texas at Austin and are passionate about bridging science and sustainability. So the Throwaway uses AI technology and predictive analytics, as well as biomarkers, biochemical sensing, basically to give an expiration date to food that hasn't had it before. So produce generally goes to waste because of intuition and the culling process, which basically has individuals who pull food off of the aisle, and their trademark is like, if you can't give it to your grandma, don't sell it to my customer. So we are trying to put science behind that and empower grocery stores to make purchasing decisions with data. So as I said before, our goal is to create a lifeline for, or like a timeline for the lifespan of produce. The current process basically relies on disparate spreadsheets and 50% off bags, which don't necessarily address the core of the problem. And even when data is involved, especially with the spreadsheets and manual tracking, this is often really frustrating for the floor employees who are working in the grocery stores, and generally leads to sort of lacking information at the corporate level. So we're here to fill that space and bridge the knowledge gap so that produce managers know exactly what's going bad, when and where and why. And we hope to help grocery stores recover this produce. So Throwaway has verbal agreements with Wheatville and HEB for pilot testing in the coming spring and early summer. And we're currently part of the Cell Accelerator at UT, and we are Launchpad Fellows and have received a couple of grants in the past year. Our goal is to complete pilot testing and building a final product by the end of the year and initiate pre-sales. So we're asking for $50,000 in order to complete the iterations of our MVP and build 3 models to be available for pre-sales. We are also looking for technical team members. If anybody has connections, we're happy to go down that whole rabbit hole as well. And for anyone interested in joining the Throwaway mission, please feel free to visit our website and join us in cleaning up aisle food waste. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paige. So I do want to say this. Paige was like a very last minute addition to pitch practice. So she is doing this, I'm assuming, with barely any preparation, no deck. And so I definitely want to say kudos to you and shout out to you for throwing your hat in the ring and joining us here on Pitch Practice, especially as last minute as you did. And you are amazing just for being here. So I know that your nerves are probably going crazy, but I promise you, your coming on stage has helped other folks that are listening and watching more than you will ever know. You've helped yourself, obviously, but you should be giving yourself a pat on the back. Okay, so thanks. Judges, almost, I see so many hands. Guys, 1 point each. I just want to make sure we get to the other 2 folks. So 1 point each for everybody that's on stage. Ben, I'm going to let you go first.
I'll let others. Great job. We can all, I think, tell that you were somewhat nervous, but I won't go into that. You were doing it the first time, all the good stuff. My one note when it came to your problem at the very beginning, this is my one only note. I had others, but for the problem, you talk about like, oh, there's a lot of food waste. Cool. But when it's talking about a business, you got to talk about what's the pain point for the end customer. And so for the supermarket and the grocery store, the end point is billions of dollars wasted for them of money they could have made if that food hadn't gone to waste. And obviously that feels really painful and is something that the grocery store or the food seller is trying to solve really hard. This is just like one example. So there's always a way to go into the problem and always think about what is the actual pain point of my end customer? What keeps them up at night? What are they trying to solve all the time? That's what you want to pitch as the problem. What you're doing on top of it, obviously an important world problem, but the important world problem is almost secondary in some ways to the problem of the specific customer. They align really well in this case, but you need to go into both ways, and I'll stop.
Thank you for that. Josh, you're next on my list, so jump in. One thing though.
You never know when you're going to have to pitch. It could be in an elevator. It could be in the lobby of a conference. It could be at a dinner party, just talking to an engineer or, a salesperson you want to get onto your team. And so even though you might suddenly have to get up and do a different version of your pitch, you always want that core to be prepared. And not just for the founder or CEO, every member of your team has to be able to deliver that pitch. And one of the easiest ways that you can get to that point is write your pitch out in bullet points rather than in sentences. It'll make it a lot easier easier for you to memorize without just reading back verbatim. And that way you can still have a lot of passion and sort of dynamicism to your voice when you're talking through your pitch. And if you then videotape your pitch and then watch it back, you will see all sorts of points about your body language, your tone, things you did or didn't say, how you said them, and you get better so fast this way. So I recommend any entrepreneur, no matter if you're not raising right now, is to get that practice in early, because you'll never know when you're going to need that pitch.
Thanks for that. Saba, you're next on my list, so jump in. One thing though.
Oh, awesome, Paige. My feedback is around the common benefits over features. You mentioned AI, you mentioned predictive analytics, and that could be cool. And some investors like that you're using these cool technologies. You want to swing it back and talk about the benefits, right? So you can say, hey, we're just going to, simply put, we're going to help you save billions of dollars. We're going to help groceries save X dollars. Like once you understand the audience, over time, you'll start doing this pattern recognition of what worked better, saving money or using these technologies. And so make sure that you do a bit of both. So it's not just, benefits of a feature, but also when should I also drop into the other part sooner?
All right, next we'll have Nick, and then Chris, and then Max.
Right. So yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I'd be recommending that was missing in your pitch was a way to make the solution feel more real. So the biggest issue I had with the core pitch was it felt too general, right? You're using all the right words. I think there's a general pain point, and I agree with that, but you never got to the concrete specific, and I think that would have taken you over. And what I mean by concrete specific, you should have said like one common problem is bread. Bread in grocery stores has this issue. Over 40% of them are lost. But what the actual issue is that they're not actually with the right expiration date. With our technology, we could actually increase the shelf life and save the average grocery store over 20% on just this category alone. Imagine if we could solve for all other categories as well. Like something to that extent where we could actually realize the real solution and it feels more tangible. Because again, you don't have to solve all items. You just literally need to solve like the 3 or 4 biggest spoilage items that they have in stores, and you'll have a really profitable business. So find and solve one and tell that story to us, because that will instantly be recognizable to us where we could deem that value. So dive in deeper there, and I think you'll get a lot more credibility. The other small sub point is ask for more money. You actually have a pretty interesting concept. When you ask for only $15,000, it feels way too low
50.
and not realistic. Or 50,000, sorry, 50,000. I would definitely be going 6 figures at a minimum on this round. And I would just share that. So we're looking to raise at least 6 figures, $100,000 will get there. It'll feel more credible, especially if the tech is real.
Okay.
Great. And I agree with that. I'm going to take it a step further too. I think number one is you got to eat. You don't want to be, you got to buy your own product and help these grocers. So you got to raise more capital. Number two, bring your passion. I felt like you started off really well about your stories, and I felt like it felt like you might have been reading a little bit. And make sure you read out what you type, because it can feel, the stories are so important. And as Nick said, make sure that story is really, I love hearing a story about, I met with this grocer. They told me this was the challenge at Whole Foods. And they told me they're spending $80,000 a month on this, and that they have that budgeted. Wow, I'm ready to fund you. So I'm excited to hear more about you, Paige. I'm excited about the space.
I got super excited about the beginning of your pitch, right? Because you were talking about the problem and what you're building and your women scientists and science and sustainability and all of these like amazing things that I was getting. And back to Nick and Chris's point, right? Like you can raise a lot of money by just being like, we know what we're doing. It's not built yet, but we need the money to build it. And it's a big problem. And we've talked to people about it. But then you actually got me really worried when you said, I need a technical team member. And I was like, wait, who's building this?
Yeah.
So and it's probably just semantics. So just be really careful, because that first part is so powerful. And I want to give you money because I'm so excited because I know you can build this, but then don't make me worried that you can't actually build it.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Max. And I appreciate you ceding your time.
Okay.
Paige, pick one piece of feedback and you can respond. You got 30 seconds though.
Sure. Thank you for all of the feedback. I think I'll probably respond to Max as far as technical team members. So we do currently have a full technical team, and we're essentially working in stages on the prototype. And so we work a lot with students and have sort of rolling participants. So that's the plug there. But we're really excited, and HEB has been glossy-eyed, so it feels like an exciting dating relationship there. And we're all giddy.
All right. Thank you so much, Paige, for coming to pitch practice, especially last minute. You did amazing.
I've never blushed so deeply, I think.
You did amazing. No worries. Okay, so the next person we have is Felix Chung, and I hope I'm saying your name right, of Ixon. And Felix, are you here? I know you're here. Screen on, unmute, ready to see your beautiful, all right. Okay, so 2 to 3 minutes pitch. We'll give you your feedback, and then you'll be able to respond. You can start now.
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Felix, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ixon, a Hong Kong-based company that specializes in food preservation. Now, who here has had experience of buying food, storing it in the fridge, and realize after 1 week that the food has already spoiled before you have a chance to consume it? Well, I have, and I believe you have too. Because approximately 25% of the meat and 40% of the fish that we produce today are actually thrown away because of food spoilage, discoloration, or expiration dates. That's 100 million tons of food worth 300 billion US dollars that could have been used to feed 2.3 billion people. Well, those days of being so wasteful are soon to be over. That's because our company have a unique technology called ASAP that allows us to extend the shelf life of meat, eggs, fish, and seafood from days to years and at room temperature. It's like the ultimate form of food preservation. It is a sterilization and packaging technology developed by me and my business partner, Elton, when we were studying our master's degree in food analysis and food safety management. So here are 2 products made using our technology: a US beef sirloin steak and a Canadian pork chop. They don't need refrigeration and have been sitting on my desk for over a year. Now, by enabling food storage at room temperature, we can help food companies save on freight and inventory costs. The global cold chain market for food is currently sized at $200 billion. So by eliminating the need of cold chain, we can help save up to $160 billion and 80% of energy that would otherwise contribute to air pollution and climate change. So we currently have a pilot factory in Hong Kong where we can make about 50 kilograms of product per day. Over the last year, we have worked with major corporations, including Amadori, Cargill, Ecolab, Mitsui Chemicals, and Sealed Air. Our next goal is to build a pilot facility in Chicago where the production capacity will be increased to 1 ton of food per day. We raised $3 million US in 2017, and now we're doing our A round. So if you're a food company or an investor who would like to join us on this journey of commercializing this amazing technology, please come and talk to me. Thank you.
Felix, I love it. Shout out to Saba for this connection. Thanks so much, Felix, for coming. We got the hands raised. Josh, go ahead. You can go first.
I just want to say, I love that you just held up your products in the camera. Like, it seems so simple, but it actually really matters. It made me feel like this is a real thing. This isn't like an idea. This is a business that works right now. But you're in a regulated space, in a place that you're asking people to consume something that traditionally people would be terrified to not have refrigerated. And so while I love that you mentioned your experience and like that you guys were working on your master's in food analysis, which gave me some faith, I would have wanted like much more hardcore descriptions of like safety protocols of exact, like you've been tested by a bunch of third-party organizations, basically been audited for your food safety. Because I think anytime you're asking people to put something inside their body, they need to know it's safe. And if you're challenging the assumptions about what makes something safe, you got to just double down on that space. So I think when, like, if you're ever in a regulated area or a space that deals with health, be sure to explain the health and safety aspects.
Thank you, Josh.
All right. Next on my list is Ben and then Nick.
I can tell that you're close to the Series A level
because of the sharpness of the storytelling and the pitch. And this is something that happens as companies get prepared for a Series A. So I can absolutely tell that. So very good job on that. This is what I would be expecting in terms of the delivery. Yes, putting up the product in front, use the medium that you have. I want to emphasize some of the things Josh said. In particular, there are common questions that are going to immediately come up that I would try to address some of them at least in the pitch more, which is about the regulation, which is about, does it change the taste, about, things like that and other traction items. I think those are the big ones where if you pre-address them, it makes the pitch even stronger. And there's probably a few more metrics, especially in a Series A, that I would be looking for than what was given in the pitch. But this is more nitpicking. And at Series A, just as for everyone who's listening out there, there's a lot more nitpicking. It just gets really, really down into little bits of detail. But great job at telling the story. We clearly understand what the problem is. But now it's time to optimize some of the metrics that you're telling and pre-answer the questions that will inevitably come up when you give this pitch.
All right, Nick, go ahead. You can, one thing, Nick, please.
Yeah, no problem. I would just share, I'll share what I think what my primary investor hesitation was, mainly because the pitch is great. You're actually really solid, metrics, storyline, everything's solid. I think the primary thing that I wanted to get a better understanding for was why only 50 kg production per day, right? Like, what is that limitation? Because then I want to understand, do you actually have the process to scale to 1 ton? That's super exciting. But again, that just then brought me all these concerns of, what's your revenue? Then what's your business model? Is this D2C? Is this, potentially going, through CPG stores, or are you licensing this technology to others? I wasn't sure. So I would just say that, that would be the one thing I'd want to address. And then just kind of, as Josh noted, really leaning into how bizarre this idea is. I think it's brilliant and I would love to talk to you more, but because it's so bizarre, don't gloss over it with just this packaging. It is really I eat this every day. If you say that and then talk through all the FDA regulations, et cetera, it would get a lot more exciting for me as well. So those are just some of the elements, but I think you're in a really good position. Really excited to hear and look forward to touching base.
Or just eat a bite right there.
I mean, come on. All right, Chris, go ahead.
Actually, I want to see you try and eat it, Felix. Can you eat it real quick or no?
Well, I have to open it.
Okay. No. If it's not cooked, don't eat it. But spot on. I mean, this is something that stands out as being such a crazy idea that I'm incredibly excited about it if it works, right? And if you can overcome some of those concerns. So what I look for is that taking away that cringe, because when I'm like, no refrigeration, I cringe when I'm in other countries and they're not refrigerating the eggs or not refrigerating the milk and things like that. I cringe. And I go, and I need to learn why. So de-risking it for me as a customer and as an investor, tell me about those health concerns or taste. And through the taste story is we did stories and we have testimonials on our website from people who actually love our product more. There's a 72% likelihood they love our pork chop over a 42% chance of actual real pork chop that's been refrigerated. By the way, so I like those metrics. The other key thing is I want to hear more about how you discovered the key enzyme or that you tested it and that you have trialed it and maybe the doctors. And maybe you touched on that, but I think that's the thing that stands out for me to have me come on board. But I'm super excited about what you're building.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Okay, Felix. So you have an opportunity to respond if there's anything that stood out to you that you would like to respond to.
I agree. I should have mentioned about testimonials. For example, people at Cargill, they've tasted it and they find it it tastes even better than chilled and frozen meats. And also, I should have also mentioned about our Kickstarter campaign that we launched last year, where we offered 2,000 pieces of the meats to the world. We didn't get 1 million like Max, so we got $40,000 US. So I would have appreciated if I had met Max earlier, then we probably would have raised a bit more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Felix. You met Max now. So what the judges haven't done and what they typically do is sometimes they will offer their DMs, emails, contacts so that you can get in touch. I'm not saying that anybody has offered that because I do not want to put their business out there, but if there's anyone on stage that you would like to contact, please let me know and I will do my best to get them.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks so much, Felix. Okay, last person, Iris. All right, so Iris, you got 3 minutes. It's gonna be a hard 3 minutes because we're coming up at the end of the show. And so you can jump in now. We'll give you feedback and then you'll be able to respond. Go ahead.
For sure. Thank you everyone for being here. Did you know that food is the second highest carbon contributor as an industry, whereas only 11% of people have shifted away from eating red meat or other unsustainable food sources? If everyone cut our meat consumption by half for a year, the amount of carbon reduction will be more than everyone taking away the entire transportation industry for 8 years. So that just talks about how big food can be impacted for our climate change. And from our 200 surveys responses, most customers do not understand the climate impact of unsustainable food for the climate. And for the climate activists, they also don't have time to do research into what kind of food they should buy and the exact carbon footprint in the food. And out of $25 billion of revenue in online grocery shopping, we analyzed that 80 billion of those are people who care about climate change, and 4 billion of those are climate activists that we truly want to target for our product. So our solution aims to empower consumers to get educated on the topic of food carbon footprint and take actions to fight against climate change by shopping for more sustainable choices. Just like honey for sustainability, we want to solve this problem actively by shifting consumer behaviors towards more sustainable food when they're shopping online at Instacart. So we are planning to partner up with more plant-based startups to build an ecosystem of stores and recommend these brands to consumers when they're checking out. We take a percentage of the revenue that goes to food companies, and we'll move on to a B2B checkout platform for the next stage of our MVP, with the first stage being a Chrome extension. And we have a database that we have built up that are collected from a lot of PhD papers, and we have a lot of credible sources for the data of the food brands that we have collected. And we now have a team of 40 people in 7 different teams working on this project. And we're looking to raise $200,000 for our seed round. And I come from a product management background. I have experience working at Google and Microsoft as a product manager. So I'm very familiar with building product. And my engineering lead, he has worked at multiple YC-backed startup, and he also is leading a 40 people data science team in a unicorn startup. So we both have a lot of experience in the building space, and we're really excited to bring this forward.
All right, thank you so much, Iris. Okay, so I'm gonna let the judges, one piece of feedback for the judges. Who wants to give Iris some feedback first? Raise your hand as we've been doing. And then how it'll work, Iris, is you will be able to respond to one piece of feedback after everyone goes. Ben, go ahead.
So my very quick here is, I think this is also something that happened before, which is there's parts of the story where you can rearrange. I think there's a lot of meat in the middle. And so it lost me a little bit in terms of like trying to follow the story. And then talking about like you and like your background and your co-founder's background, obviously really strong selling points. I might put that earlier in the pitch, given like it's a strong credibility piece to being like, look, you know, we come from these amazing backgrounds, but we saw this problem. We have this experience, and that frames the rest of the conversation, because the moment that you say like, we're legit, then investors pay more attention to the rest of the pitch. I've actually seen this time and time. I actually subscribe generally to the theory that the first thing you say is not always the problem, but something that validates you as a founder or as a company or as a team. And it might be something about your growth or your backgrounds or something, to make sure that investors know I need to keep listening, because it almost doesn't, I know that whatever they're saying is going to be smart, because I know someone who's a product manager at Google and Microsoft is going to have something, is going to have thought a lot about it. So that's like one piece of feedback. there's some rearranging where I think it would tell the story stronger and really lean into the credentials, because those are strong credentials of the team. Also, who's the unicorn? Because you're going to say a unicorn, most likely this group, an investor group, is going to be sophisticated enough to know who the unicorns are. Even if it's a lesser known unicorn, we'll know the name.
Thank you.
All right, Saba, one piece of feedback for Iris.
I actually don't know what your company name is. I don't know if I missed it.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. It's called Nutrify.
Nutrify. Okay, I don't know if I heard it. Maybe you did, but I also felt that you did not breathe during that whole thing, and it was really hard for me to follow on. And you know, at the risk of sounding like a goose, like I have no idea how to pitch it back to you, because I heard a lot in a very short period, and you have to just slow it down. You have to figure out what point do you want for me to take away from it, and then go from there, right? You're not trying to share everything. You're trying to, like, really, it's not about what you say, it's how you make me feel. Early on, you're talking about carbon problems in the planet and all these things, and I was like, oh, this is going to be about automobiles. Then it's going to be about this, and it's going to be about that. And we get fancy. And so for someone who's not in the space at all, it's really important to just make it really, really simple. The saying goes, make it so the dumbest person in the room can understand. That's me. I'll take that. And I'm like, wait, I'm kind of like confused. So make it concise, make it as simple as possible. Remind people, hey, here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's what I told you. This is what I just, pitched. And then also just the company name. Make people remember Nutrify, at least twice, maybe not 100 times. So hopefully that helps, and maybe I missed it, unlike everyone else.
All right, thank you so much, Saba. Marie, what's your one piece of feedback? Listen, I have to keep you to one piece because we got to get out of here on time. What is your one piece of feedback for Iris?
No, I agree with Saba. I was looking for it because I didn't hear the name either. So I don't know if we were both just like in outer space, but I checked out your LinkedIn. There's a lot of like really great concepts about your startup that you did not highlight. The option to, so again, goes back to like your story, keeping it very concise, keeping it, the problem solution, but then like adding value to what you're trying, because sustainability is like, it's a new buzzword. So you want to make sure that you're solving a problem that will resonate with the right person. And so that's one thing. I could say more, so feel free to inbox me because I have a lot of thoughts on this. So yeah.
Oh man, she's offering her inbox, Iris. Reach out to Marie. Okay, Chris.
All of you guys can. Happily.
What's your one piece of feedback, Chris?
Yeah, I agree with everything that was said. I had to look up your LinkedIn bio to find the name of your company. And so that was tricky. You went really quick. And I'm actually, the challenge is I think sometimes people would say, didn't connect with me and they move on. I want to give you a second shot. So feel free to reach out to me because I don't understand who pays you, who works with you, but I'm really interested in what you're doing. And I think you do. It sounds like you have a great team and you have some domain expertise. So I just need to learn more about that story of not just where you work, but why it's important to what you're building and who the actual audience of who's going to pay you is. But great job,
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Chris. Okay. So Iris, you have 30 seconds to respond. I was about to go right into the ending, but Iris, you have 30 seconds to respond, and then we'll kick it off to Josh.
Okay, for sure. So in terms of, to answer Chris' question, who pays us? It will be the companies that we recommend their food to our customers will pay us. So because we act as a marketing and advertising platforms for those plant-based companies. So for every transactions that we recommend our customers to buy the plant-based food instead, we'll take a percentage of that revenue. So that's who pays us. And then in terms of what Nutrify is trying to do is basically we're trying to shift consumer trends towards more sustainable food. And then we help them find those more sustainable food. And we also tell them the carbon footprint of what is currently in their shopping cart.
Perfect. Iris, thank you so much. I think you're the only one that stuck to the 30 seconds at the end. Ben, you're off mute. What's going on?
I'm just going to say, like, Iris, just remember, this is also for everybody too, because this is all about lessons and learning. when you pitch an investor, the investor has to go and pitch it to their partner. So this is always how it works. When Josh has to go and says, I love a startup idea, he has to be able to pitch it to his partners because they all have to go and agree. And if you got to make it so simple, just like he knows exactly how to pitch it and he knows what the big numbers are. It's just about what are those 3 takeaways. And so that's the thing to work on. You have some super cool stuff though. So good jobs.
Thank you so much.
All right, Iris, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to tell you guys all of the special goodies that you get, so don't go anywhere. Josh, the floor is yours. So every time we finish a pitch practice, sometimes Chris takes it, I'm going to be honest, Josh will do the rundown and the summary of all the things that we have noticed in the pitches for tonight. So Josh, tell us your recap of what happened here.
Yeah, absolutely. As a former journalist, sometimes I got to take my investor hat off and put my writer hat back on. So I've been taking notes about all the incredible suggestions from our panel today. I'm going to give you a quick rundown just in case you didn't catch them all. So one of the most important things of your pitch is the pitch order, how you construct your narrative. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to lay it out from a space of getting people to emotionally resonate with what's wrong, and then slowly unfold how you're going to make money on it, and then how this becomes a really huge business. The best way to do that is this 10-step order. First, problem, then solution, business model, origin story, the team and their expertise, customer acquisition plan, traction, your competitors and how you're differentiated, the big vision for getting to be a huge company, and the fundraise. So once you're through that, especially for CPG food companies, you got to talk about that distribution strategy. How do you get to the customer? Because the product's only as good as the way it gets to the people who actually put it in their mouth or enjoy it on their bodies. So some other thoughts there. Your traction and the specifics should scale with your ask. If you're asking for a little bit of money for like a pre-seed round, it's fine to not have a ton of metrics or exact clarity. But if you're asking for like millions of dollars for a big venture round, you better have all your ducks in a row and all those metrics available. Don't say that you're the first or the only of something unless you can absolutely back that up. If you have a personal story, that might be something that you should like layer in a little bit deeper. How did you personally suffer? And how does that show that you're going to have the grit to persevere no matter how challenging the situation gets? You always stress the pain point for your customer. What is it that they have a problem with? Not just that there's a problem for society at large that you're making better, which is common in the sustainability space. How does this actually improve the business of the people you're pitching and selling to? If you want to practice a pitch, you should be thinking about bullet points, not writing out sentences. They're easier to memorize and you look less like you're actually reading them. And if you video your pitches, you'll be able to watch them back and you'll learn so much about not just what you say, but how you said it, your tone of voice, your body language, and a lot more of that. If you need a tech team for your product, mention your tech team. Don't leave us thinking that maybe you don't have that in place. Show that you love the product by often having it in person. If it's a physical product, bring that to the pitch. Give it to the investors or give it to the journalists that you're pitching so they have a tangible sense of what your product is. If you're in a regulated space, something like health or food, be sure to explain how you're safe and that you've been audited by third parties that can verify this is okay to put in your body. Be sure that your company is easy to find. Have your web presence like listed in all of your social profiles. Go for something with great SEO so people don't have to hunt you down just to actually give you money. And then finally, even if you're going to have to pitch 1,000,000 times, you're going to have to do this over and over and over again. And the real trick is maintaining that sense of passion, that sense that you're going to be that charismatic leader that can recruit people to your vision, that they're going to want to come join your company, sell to your company, buy from your company. So no matter what it is that you're pitching, always be sure that you've practiced that pitch 1,000,000 times and you can still deliver it with passion. It doesn't matter if it's your 1,000th time pitching, it's got to be their first time hearing it and you got to leave them with something they can remember. So thanks so much, Shondra.
All right, thank you guys. We've reached the end. Can all the presenters turn your screen on? I got a little surprise for you guys. So all 7 of you, so Iris, Elton, Jamaica, Felix, Joanna, let's see who else is here. Samotria, turn your screens on. I got a little surprise for you guys. So all 7 of you will be receiving some goodies. This is a $1,200 plus value of professional services. So we have pitch coaching and investor office hours with AG Funder. The second thing we have is strategy consultation with Blue Sky Partners. And the third thing, I guess this is 4 things, oh my gosh, patent and trademark legal consultation with Lee and Hayes, and first employee and recruitment consultation with STEM and Search Group. I will send this to you in an email. All of that stuff is coming to you for participating here at Pitch Practice. I want to thank all of my judges, all of the presenters that came here today. I'm actually getting you out of here on time. Amazing. Everybody did such a great job. This is the first time that we did this on screen, and we did this for South by Southwest and LittleHerds and the future of food. And I'm just super, super thankful and grateful to have you guys here. For those that do want to reach out to folks, you can reach out to Marie and some of the other folks that offered their inboxes in time. Feel free to do that as well. But again, sorry, AG Funder, like agriculture. Sorry about that. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in these internet streets. Bye guys, have a good evening. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.